Shine, you know what I mean? This is a star, right? This is where actually the stars start from, you know what I mean?
Before NAV would be up in some way and become a champion just by being himself. Before he would sign to the Weeknd's EXO label. Before he would collab with Metro, Gucci, Gunna, Travis Scott, Uzi, and even get a cosign from Nas. Before he would have over 500k followers on Twitter, over 500k on SoundCloud, over 800k subscribers on YouTube, and close to 1.5 million followers on Instagram at the time of this recording. He told Paper Magazine in a 2017 interview, "I wish there was a button to turn off this whole fame thing." And for the most part, NAV has been able to keep a pretty low profile. When we did our first Before They Were Famous on NAV a little over a year ago, little to nothing was known about the Canadian artist. Since then, he's not only made his mark on music, but he's also done a few online interviews and a couple of radio stops. But the man still doesn't have a single full-length interview, besides a short video with Genius and the classic video you saw at the beginning of this. When Real 92.3 sat down for a rare radio interview with NAV in LA, they asked him why he keeps things so mysterious, and he said this.
That's just me, you know, I'm just always in my own bubble.
Right.
Like, I don't even really know what's going on other than what I got going on. And I'd like to keep it that way, you know what I mean? It keeps like layers to the onion for the fans.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Well, since this is Before They Were Famous, we'll do our best to try and peel back some of those layers, at least a couple of them.
Onions have layers. You get it. We both have layers.
We did some digging, did some crowdsourcing, and asked some inside people, and I think we'll be able to tell Nav's story better than it's been told anywhere else online so far. What's going on, good people, in the comments section? I hope you're having one heck of a day. My name is Jeremy Hecht, and today I'll be taking you through the life and career of fellow Canadian Nav before fame. If you're new here, I'm the LA host for this channel, and as always, the motto is we're getting better every video, so let me know how I did in the comments down below, and let me know who to cover next. I'll try to reply to as many people as possible within the first few hours of uploading. I really do appreciate all of your support, and we appreciate all of your support of this channel. This video is brought to you by our good friends over at Candy Pens. Shout out to them. We've covered other Toronto artists like Party Next Door, The Weeknd, and of course Michael just did an epic bio on Drake, so you've got to check those out after you finish watching this one. And we're gonna start asking a question at the beginning of Before They Were Famous videos that you gotta stick around until the end to find out the answer to. So today's question is, what do Nav's parents think of his music? But without any more talking, let's get into the video.
Hey, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell. Boom!
Go by Nav Beats. Follow me at Nav Beats on Twitter.
Nav was born Navraj Singh Garaya on November 3rd, 1989 in Rexdale, Toronto, Ontario, which he calls one of the roughest parts of the city. Nav was the youngest of 3 kids with 2 older sisters, and says since he was lucky enough to grow up with 2 parents in his life, things went pretty smoothly for him. His parents are from Punjab, which borders Pakistan and the northern region of India. Nav's mother was involved in computer manufacturing, and his father worked as a forklift driver in a Canadian factory. In the 3rd grade, Nav's mom bought him a boombox for Christmas, and he would lay the boombox on his chest and listen to Indian music all day. Nav's uncle was a popular singer in India and later took Nav to his first studio session once he started making beats. But for the most part, Nav kept to himself and kept out of trouble. He says the neighborhood he grew up in was very diverse, and he was around a lot of different people, from Chinese to Caribbean and a lot of Jamaican people. This influenced him to say the N-word in his early music, but he later apologized and said he would no longer be using the word in any of his songs. He said, "It's like when I was making music, I wasn't making music thinking I'm gonna blow up and become a famous artist. I was making music and rapping with my friends where we used the word freely. When it came to a global scale, I saw a little bit of backlash and I pulled back. I don't need to use that word to make it far." Growing up, Nav went back and listened to all of the classic hip-hop albums like Jay-Z, Tupac, Biggie, with his favorite being Nas because of his storytelling abilities. He would eventually get a cosign from Nas in the form of an Instagram post. Later on, he was bumping Gucci Mane, Future, and would even play Travis Scott's album in his old Honda. Crazy how the world works. He told Tim Westwood that he used to watch a bunch of interviews online to get inspired, and cited Tim's interview with Dipset as an inspiration for him wanting to get into the music game.
I wanted to dress like them. I just wanted to be like them all the time.
Yeah, oh, their swag was, Jim Jones.
Whatever they did, I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
That was it.
This next piece of information was crowdsourced from the comment section of our last Before They Were Famous video. Someone commented saying they grew up with Nav, and they said, the house he lived at is across the street from Sunnydale Acres Park. His parents still live there. He went to West Humber Junior Middle School until grade 8, then Thistletown Collegiate Institute from 9 to 12. I mean, both are schools in Toronto, so it checks out. Who says the comment section is never good for anything? Even though Nav was a poor student, he was one of the only people in his friends group who graduated high school, although it did take him an extra year to do so. While in high school, after seeing people make mashups online, Nav began stitching together popular songs, but then he decided to just start making his own beats using Sony's Acid software when he was 16 years old. He also said he was using Logic Pro and a MacBook later on. His friends would freestyle over the beats he was making at school, and he got some notoriety. He started working with local artists and building his sound, and at the time, he was only a producer, and he was going by Beats by Nav.
When I was coming up making beats, the only people who was big was like Drake and The Weeknd. So like it was kind of hard to just get them beats. They're the only people you want to send beats to.
Exactly.
Ain't nobody else popping. But
Yeah,
then
exactly.
other artists started emerging. I started working with other people that's coming up.
What kind of beats you really drop when you're online?
Anything artist wants, I can make.
Anything, man.
He describes himself as someone who used to really like attention, and he told Complex, I became like pretty much the coolest kid in high school because I had started making beats for local rappers. Eventually, he started writing songs over his own beats, but didn't release them yet. He recorded demo versions of some of those songs and sent one of them as a reference track to one of his artist friends.
And he sent me back the demo. He's like, I can't do it how you did it. He's like, you should just put it out as you. And I like contemplated for like 2 days. Then I put it out. And it only got like 5,000 plays, but like instantly that's kind of like
bad look. That's
something
a good look.
crazy, right?
After graduation, he would work odd jobs while perfecting the craft of making beats. He went through periods of giving up on music, but always picked the MPC back up. And it was when he posted a song on SoundCloud called Take Me Simple that he started seeing real results with his music. Because of his unique sound that included drowsy flows over hard trap beats and a beat that felt inspired by the Toronto sound, the song started to catch on. And now it has close to 15 million plays on SoundCloud. He kept putting out music online and people just kept listening. His plays were going up by 100,000 every month at the time, and Nav says he was just waiting for the call that would change his life. So a lot of people would ask, how do you go from just posting songs on SoundCloud and out of nowhere get 100K views and 100K plays at a time? Well, I looked in the comments again, and another one of the comments that was on our last Before They Were Famous video said this. So nobody is gonna talk about how Nav gained a lot of popularity under some fake Post Malone songs. With Simply Spoon's writing, nobody is mentioning his genius marketing scheme. There were a couple of channels on YouTube releasing a bunch of unreleased Post Malone songs. People thought they were Post, but they were actually Nav. Songs like The Man and a lot of his earlier stuff, these songs ended up getting tons of views and drove tons of traffic to Nav's SoundCloud, because the comments would say this isn't Post, this is Nav. He probably had some SoundCloud hype too, but it all took off from there. Genius, man. So I looked into it, and while some of those songs aren't on YouTube under those titles anymore, there may be some truth to that being the reason that Nav's SoundCloud blew up, because his songs were getting so big that Post Malone even tweeted this at the time. Eventually though, the calls started coming in and a couple of labels flew Nav out to LA for meetings. But he turned down all offers from a few different labels and continued to wait and have patience while he built his sound. He didn't feel like any of them were the right fit yet. Through the underground Toronto music scene, Nav ran into artist Derek Wise and they would become friends. Derek was signed to The Weeknd's label EXO and gave Nav's number to The Weeknd's manager Amir, who is better known as Cash. Nav got a call from Cash and told him, fly out to LA the next day. He says once he got there, the two clicked instantly. He says the best advice he's gotten from Cash is
Not following the hype. Like Cash don't follow no hype. He's just like, where the most action is going on, he's not gonna be there. It's like, that's one thing that I learned from him, is like, don't get hype over anything. There ain't nothing really to see.
After filling out the situation, Nav inked a deal with EXO and Republic Records. Once he signed with EXO, he moved out of his mom's house and began taking over. Nav says The Weeknd really cares about his career, and the two have become close. They even play basketball together. I'd honestly love to see Abel's jump shot. Someone that I look up to is The Weeknd. Like my mom knows who he is. I just want to reach that level where I'm a household name. Nav's first big beat placement ended up becoming one of the biggest commercial diss records of all time for Drake, and he was credited with producing for Back to Back. He didn't even know the song was going to be back to back, and at first, Nav didn't even like the beat. Apparently Drake didn't even know who Nav was at the time.
I was just in the studio with another producer, and it was 3 a.m. I wanted to go home, to be honest. And he was like, just start up some melodies. And I started that main one that's in the beat. And there's like 6 other sounds in there. 2-3 days later, I just hear the song come out.
Drake and 40 sped up the beat, and it turned out to become the first diss track to be Grammy nominated. A couple months later, Drake became hip to Nav's music though because he started to play his songs on OVO Sound Radio. I was chilling at my cousin's house in the basement smoking up and stuff. We were playing video games, not even really listening to OVO. It was just in the background. And I heard my song, I tripped out. I can't even imagine what that would be like. But I remember the OVO Sound Radio days. I kind of miss those. Bring that back, Drake. His next big cosign came from Kylie Jenner when she played his song Myself on Snapchat and boosted his streams up by over 300%. I remember when Kylie Jenner was music's most important A&R using Snapchat as her record label. That was a joke, by the way, because some of you guys take my jokes way too seriously in the comments, and I'm just letting you know I don't think Kylie Jenner was an A&R. But speaking of Kylie Jenner, Nav and Travis Scott became close. Nav met Travis Scott through Cash, and the two hung out 4 or 5 times before ever making music. It was actually Cash who found the beat for Beebs in the Trap on Nav's computer and said that they needed to use it. It was that beat and his performance on that track that put Nav into a new light. He even appeared in the music video for the song. Nav says that he has to really feel people out before he gets close to them because of how fake the industry is. He says that his homie from back in the day who was riding around with him in his $500 Honda now comes with him everywhere he goes. Although Nav would probably rather stay inside his house, he does leave to perform. At first he said he was nervous on stage telling Paper Magazine, "In the beginning it was kind of rough. I didn't know how to project my voice a certain way as I did in the studio. As I got used to it, I played back my videos of performances and I feel really happy with it." And rightfully so, because the first time he ever performed was when he was opening up for Abel at the O2 Arena in London in front of 20,000 people. Might not have turned the O2 into an O3 that night, but today Nav is a more confident performer. Is it just me, or is it getting a little smoky in here? I'm gonna pass it off to Michael for a word from our sponsors.
You've all heard of Candy Pens, right? Well, if the name doesn't ring a bell, I got a good feeling you've seen them before. Now, Candy Pens was named Best Vaporizer of 2018 by High Times due to its combination of popular technology and flashy design. And Candy Pens, well, they've quickly become the go-to choice for vaping in the hip-hop and rap community. They've got some cosigns from DJ Khaled, Fatboy SSE, Young M.A., and Amber Rose. Even the one and only ASAP Rocky, yeah, he's got his own signature line called the Flacco Jody Collection. Now, Candy Pens has actually made me their YouTube ambassador, the one and only, and they've given me the ability to get you 25% off your entire order. Yeah, there's a link down below. Also use the promo code BTWF25. Get some money back, enjoy your vaping. Remember, Candy Pens are for those 18 years and older.
Okay, so it's time for my favorite part of the video that is specifically for the ladies out there. This is Shoot Your Shot with Nav. What are your chances at dating the rapper? And if you did date the rapper, what would it look like? Well, in a recent interview, he said he'll take you to McDonald's on a date, but I have inside information and a former coworker of mine actually went on a date with Nav. So here's what she said. The two went to a hookah spot and not McDonald's, so that's a little classier. But you better bring your wallet if you go on a date with Nav because they ended up splitting the bill. This was a few years ago before he blew up to the point he's at now though, so I have a feeling if you go out with Nav now, he might pay for your meal. All right, back to the video. In 2017, Nav released his debut commercial project, Nav, where he let the world know that he doesn't pay anything for his sneakers because, well, he's Nav. And from there, he took off. Although his parents don't quite understand his music, they're happy that he's healthy and he's doing what he loves. And there's the answer to the question from the beginning of the video. Recently, he moved out to LA where he occasionally still participates in the drug life, but says he's slowed down a bit and he only does it in moderation. He pretty much just hits the studio and plays video games like WWE 2K and FIFA, and right now, it doesn't look like we'll be seeing Nav in interviews anytime soon.
It's like I feel like you give them too much all at once.
Yeah.
It kind of just makes people bored of you. If
Yeah.
you give them videos, like that's why I don't really do a lot of like Snapchats, talking to the screen. It's just, you know what I mean? I'd rather
Yeah.
just have like a little bit of mystery behind.
As for the rest of the story though, well, you know it because this is Before They Were Famous. My name is Jeremy Hecht. As always, leave me a comment in the section down below. The comment section, you know what section I was talking about. Let me know who to cover next. Follow me on the gram, my link is below. Dream good, live better. I hope you have one heck of a day, and I'll see you in the next video.